All right, so picture this. You're in York, wandering those charming little cobblestone streets, and you stumble upon this incredible medieval guild hall.
Oh, I can practically see it now.
It's the Merchant Adventurers Hall. And get this, it's been in constant use for 7 centuries.
7 centuries. That's mind-boggling.
It is. Today, we're taking a deep dive into this amazing place. It's like a virtual tour through time. We'll uncover its history, explore all its key areas, and of course, we'll finally learn what a merchant adventurer really was. By the end, you'll be ready to plan your own visit. Oh, and if you want the ultimate York experience, don't forget to check out Alistair's book, York Local Knowledge Must-Do Top 10s and the vouchers to get them for less. It's packed with insider tips and available on iBooks and Google Books.
It's a must-have for any visitor.
Absolutely. Now, what makes the Merchant Adventurers Hall so special? Well, it's not just a relic of the past. It's a vibrant space that's been continuously used for over 660 years.
That's right, and it's one of Britain's oldest surviving timber-framed guild halls. Imagine all the stories those walls could tell.
It's like stepping into a time capsule. So where does our story begin?
Our journey starts way back in 1357, when a group of influential men and women formed a religious fraternity. That's right, women were founding members.
Wait, women in a medieval guild? That's not something you hear every day. It seems incredibly progressive for the time. What was the thinking behind that?
It was definitely unusual. It tells us something about the guild's values. They were called the Guild of Our Lord Jesus and the Blessed Virgin Mary. They focused on good works and charity. Including women seems to have been part of their core mission from the very beginning. We can't forget the historical context either. The Black Death had ravaged Europe just a few decades earlier.
So forming this fraternity, maybe it was their way of finding community and support after such a devastating time. And perhaps having a dedicated hall to gather in, help them stay safe, and avoid future outbreaks.
It's a really interesting thought. It makes sense that a sense of community and shared purpose would be even more important after experiencing such a traumatic event.
Absolutely. So they started as a religious group. But how did they evolve into this powerful trading force we know today?
Well, it was a gradual shift. By 1430, they'd changed their focus to trade and became known as the Mystery of Mercers.
Mercers. So were they like the fashionistas of medieval York, dealing in all the finest fabrics and silks?
You got it. They traded in luxury goods, especially fine fabrics and silks. King Henry VI even granted them a royal charter, making them a major player in the world of trade.
And then Queen Elizabeth III, the Queen of Dramatic Collars and Royal Proclamations, she officially named them the Company of Merchant Adventurers of the City of York
Yeah.
in 1581.
Yes. Quite a mouthful, isn't it?
It is. From then on, their trading ventures expanded. They went beyond just cloth. They reached overseas markets. These merchants were true pioneers, risking their own capital in pursuit of new opportunities.
And their gamble certainly paid off. I'm itching to step inside this historic hall. Where should we begin our virtual tour? Let's descend into the atmospheric undercroft. This space served as a hospital, or almshouse, from 1373 to 1900, caring for York's poor and sick.
For over 500 years, that's quite a legacy of care. It's amazing to think of this space, providing refuge and healing to so many people. What should we look out for down there?
If you look closely at the pillars, you might see scorch marks from the candles and torches they used for light before the grand fireplace was installed.
I can already feel the chills. What other surprises await?
Well, the floor has been raised several times over the centuries.
Why is that?
You see, the nearby River Foss had a habit of flooding.
Ah, good old British weather, always keeping things interesting. From the dimly lit undercroft, where do we head next?
Let's ascend to the chapel, a place of peace and reflection. Built in 1411 and dedicated to the Holy Trinity. Remember, they started as a religious fraternity, so their business dealings were conducted under the watchful eye of the Holy Trinity.
Business and blessings, all under one roof. What's the chapel like now?
Sadly, a lot of the original decoration was lost during the Reformation in 1536, but you can still admire the stunning stained glass windows and look for the restored boards and Charles of the texts on the walls, remnants of a refurbishment in 1659.
Got it. On the list. We've explored the undercroft, contemplated in the chapel. What's next on our tour?
Let's step into the anterooms and the governor's parlor, added in 1601. Imagine, back then these spaces were used to display and sell all these luxurious fabrics the Mercers were known for.
Like a medieval showroom.
Exactly.
I bet there were some serious fashion battles happening in those rooms.
No, they house the Hall's collection of 17th century furniture, but before you go in, pause and admire the barge boards outside. They're decorated with scrolls, vines, and grapes. Very fancy.
Okay, I'm picturing it. What about the governor's parlor? What makes it special?
This room was added in 1947 and is filled with incredible furniture, paintings, and silver. Make sure to look at the fireplace it originally came from. The home of William Robinson, who was both a successful merchant and Lord Mayor of York.
Talk about a glow-up. From trader to top dog. All while enjoying cozy evenings by that very fireplace. Now, I'm ready for the main event. The Great Hall.
Prepare to be impressed. This is the heart of the Merchant Adventurers Hall, the largest timber-framed building in the UK, still used for its original purpose.
Wow. Imagine the meetings, feasts, and deal-making that happened here.
I know, it's
It
incredible.
must have been quite a feat to build something so grand back
Right.
then. Was there even enough timber in all of England?
Actually, that's what makes the Great Hall so unique. It has a double nave structure. Believe it or not, there were no timbers of English oak long enough to span the full width back in the 14th century.
No way! So they had to get creative.
Exactly, they did.
That's amazing. So they basically invented a new architectural technique out of necessity. I'm noticing a theme here. Resourceful and stylish. What about those massive timbers? How were they held up?
You have a sharp eye. Look up. You'll see crown posts supporting the heavy timbers. It's a unique feature found only in the most important buildings in northern England.
So, we're talking VIP architecture. But,
It's not all medieval.
right, the hall has been updated over the centuries.
Absolutely. Those original slit windows, designed for a sliver of light and maximum draftiness. They were replaced with much more elegant sash windows in the 1740s. And the wooden paneling, you see. That's a later addition. As is the governor's stall, which was actually brought here from York Castle. This place is a living, breathing record of history.
I love it. So much to discover. Now, I'm ready for a change of pace. Let's head out to the garden. I bet it's a tranquil escape from the hustle and bustle of the city.
You'd be right. The garden is a relatively recent addition, created in 1918, but it's a beautiful oasis in the heart of York.
I'm guessing it's not a medieval herb garden then.
Sadly not, though. I can picture the merchant adventurers cultivating their own medicinal herbs back in the day. You see, in the Victorian period, this area was a jumble of houses and outbuildings. Thankfully, someone had the bright idea to transform it into a peaceful garden for everyone to enjoy.
I bet it's a popular spot, especially in the summer.
Absolutely. It's open to the public. And the Merchant's Coffee House even uses it for al fresco dining when the weather's nice. Can you imagine enjoying a delicious meal surrounded by centuries of history?
That's what I call living the good life.
Speaking of which, the Merchant's Coffee House is an absolute gem. We need to add that to our list. But first, let's delve into the Hall's collections. I hear they have some truly remarkable artifacts.
Yes. Spill the tea. What kind of treasures are we talking about?
Oh, we're talking centuries of history, preserved in furniture, paintings, silver, and all sorts of intriguing objects, each piece with its own story to tell about the lives and times of the merchant adventurers.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued. Give me the highlights.
Let's start with the furniture. The collection spans from the 14th to the 20th centuries, showcasing those changing styles and craftsmanship. One of the oldest and most important pieces is the evidence chest, which dates back to the early 1400s.
The early 1400s.
It
Wow.
was used to store important documents and account rolls, proof of the merchant's dealing.
So, kind of like their super secure medieval filing cabinet. I bet the chest could tell some stories.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's the governor's chair from 1940, made by the famous Mouseman Thompson.
Mouseman Thompson.
He was known for carving a tiny mouse into each piece of furniture he created. See if you can spot it when you visit.
A hidden mouse. I love it. Now, what other treasures are hiding in plain sight?
Well, if you appreciate craftsmanship, you have to see the late 17th century Nuremberg coffer.
Okay, the Nuremberg what now?
Coffer. It's made entirely of iron for strength and security. Imagine the valuable possessions that were kept safe inside.
Yeah, I would want to be the one moving that thing.
No kidding. And for a touch of sweetness, there's the adorable baby's high chair from 1642.
A baby's high chair.
It was likely made to celebrate a new arrival in a wealthy merchant's family.
Oh, okay, so we've got serious security and adorable baby furniture. What about the paintings? Any hidden masterpieces on the walls?
Oh, there are definitely some gems. One of my favorites is Old House Bridge by Joseph Farrington.
Old House Bridge.
Okay, it's a beautiful and vibrant depiction of the medieval bridge. That once stood in York.
It must be fascinating to compare the painting to what's there today and see how the city has changed.
Exactly. And for a change of scenery, there's Dutch Snow Scene with Skaters by Jan Griffier the
Yeah,
Elder.
it's a scene with skaters, okay.
It's a charming winter scene that transports you to a frozen canal in the Netherlands.
Ooh, I can almost feel the chill in the air.
Now, if you want a glimpse of what York looks like back in 1735, don't miss The Southwest Prospect of the City of York by Samuel and Nathaniel Buck.
The Southwest Prospect, all right.
It's incredibly detailed and even shows York Tyburn, which was the site of public hangings.
A bit more grim, but still fascinating.
History isn't always pretty. And lastly, there's a portrait of Sir Joseph Terry,
Sir Joseph Terry.
a prominent confectioner and industrialist, painted by Emily Lawton Barnard.
Wait, a female artist back then?
Yes, quite unusual. It's a great reminder that talented women were making their mark, even in a male-dominated world.
I love that. Okay, we've covered furniture and paintings. What about the silver collection?
Oh, it's dazzling. It spans 7 centuries and features some truly curious items. There's the venison dish and James I, both made in 1610, by the skilled silversmith Robert Catt.
Robert Catt, all right.
The venison dish was, of course, for serving venison, and the James I is a beautifully crafted silver cup, named after the king.
Fit for royalty. I'm picturing elaborate feasts with these pieces. What other silver treasures should I look out for?
You'll want to find the peg tankard, a Scandinavian-style silver tankard from 1667.
A peg tankard.
It has pegs inside that help regulate how much each person could drink.
Oh. Why is that?
Apparently, things could get a bit rowdy back then.
I can only imagine. They really did think of everything. What else?
For something truly exotic, there's a coconut cup. From around 1690, these were incredibly valuable and thought to have aphrodisiac properties.
Oh, voila. I wonder if they still serve drinks in at the coffee house. Just kidding.
Maybe not. And lastly, there's a pair of 2-handled loving cups from 2012, made to celebrate Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee.
Loving cups.
Interesting.
They're used for a ceremonial toast that supposedly protects the monarch from being stabbed in the back.
Talk about covering all the bases. So we've got medieval filing cabinets, adorable baby furniture, silver goblets with hidden meanings. What else could this collection possibly hold?
Well, the merchant adventurers clearly had diverse interests, which is reflected in their eclectic collection of artifacts. For instance, there's a pair of His Majesty's scales from 1790.
His Majesty's scales.
They were used to settle disputes between merchants.
So like a medieval courtroom.
Exactly. The company acted as impartial arbitrators, but with fancier scales.
Very official. And speaking of official, what are those Tudor weights from 1588?
Those are rare, bell-shaped weights,
Yeah.
cast in bronze. They're a tangible link to a pivotal year in English history, the year the Spanish Armada set sail.
Wow, that's incredible. To hold a piece of history like that must be amazing. Absolutely. And speaking of holding things, there are also Bellarmine wine jugs from the 16th century.
Bellarmine wine jugs.
They're decorated with a caricature of Cardinal Roberto Bellarmino, who was a staunch opponent of both Protestantism and alcohol.
Wait, so they put a caricature of someone who opposed alcohol on a wine jug?
The irony.
That's fantastic. It's like a little historical in-joke. What about those ornate seal matrices from 1373 and 1435? They look like they have quite a story to tell.
They do. These were used to authenticate documents by embossing hot wax.
So like a medieval notary stamp.
Exactly. The first one identifies the Hospital of Jesus Christ and the Blessed Virgin Mary, while the second depicts the Holy Trinity, with ships, a star, and a bulrush, showcasing the importance of trade and the divine in their lives.
So from weighing arguments to weighing goods to stamping official seals, this collection has it all. Now let's talk about something a bit more modern. The Merchant's Coffee House. What's on the menu? What should we absolutely not miss?
Well, they're known for using delicious local ingredients. You can't go wrong with the Yorkshire Rarebit.
Yorkshire Rarebit, what's that?
It's basically a posh cheese on toast made with local ale and Henderson's relish, a true taste of Yorkshire.
Okay, my mouth is watering. What else is tempting?
They also have homemade soup, classic jacket potatoes, with various fillings and a variety of sandwiches for a lighter option and for a sweet treat. You have to try their freshly baked scones with jam and clotted cream. It's the perfect afternoon pick-me-up.
Oh, that sounds divine. And of course, I need tea.
They've got you covered. They have Yorkshire tea, a selection of specialty teas, and even coffee if you prefer. And if you're feeling fancy, you can enjoy a glass of wine or a locally brewed beer.
The Merchant's Coffee House. Sounds like the perfect place to relax after a day of exploring the hall.
It is. Now, before we wrap up, let's give our listeners some practical tips for visiting this incredible place. Are you ready to plan your adventure?
Absolutely. Give me all the insider knowledge.
Okay, first things first. Check the hall's website for opening times and special events you don't want to miss out.
Good point. Planning is key, especially if you're in York for just a short time.
And here's a bonus. Your admission ticket gives you free return visits for a whole year.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
So if you live in York,
Yep.
or planning multiple visits,
Yeah.
you can just keep coming back. That's incredible value.
It is, and they've made the hall very accessible with level access from the Fossgate entrance and a lift between floors.
I love that. They've made it easy for everyone to experience this incredible piece of history.
Absolutely. And for families, under 16s go free with a paying adult.
Okay. They really have thought of everything now.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of guided tours. Do they offer those at the hall?
They do, and I highly recommend taking one. It's the best way to get a deeper understanding of the hall's history, the stories behind the collections, all those fascinating details you might miss on your own.
I completely agree. There's nothing quite like having an expert bring the past to life, especially in a place as rich in history as the Merchant Adventurers Hall.
And while you're there, be sure to spend some time in that tranquil garden we talked about.
Oh, yes, the garden.
It's the perfect place to relax, soak in the atmosphere,
Yeah.
and maybe enjoy a treat from the Merchant's Coffee House.
Sipping tea in a beautiful garden, surrounded by history. Sounds perfect.
Right. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive, I want to emphasize something. The Merchant Adventurers Hall isn't just a relic of the past. It's a living testament to the entrepreneurial spirit that has shaped York for centuries.
That's so true. From those early traders who risked everything on overseas ventures to the modern-day businesses the company continues to support. It's a story of innovation and community.
Exactly. And that brings us to our final thought. As you walk through those ancient halls, imagine all the stories those walls could tell. The laughter, the deals, the triumphs, the setbacks, the lives lived, and the legacies created. The Merchant Adventurers Hall is a tapestry woven from countless threads of history,
Beautiful.
a testament to the enduring human spirit.
It's a powerful reminder
Yeah.
that history isn't just about dates and facts. It's about people
Mm,
and their stories. And the Merchant Adventurers Hall is where those stories come alive.
it really is. So, if you find yourself in York, make time for the Merchant Adventurers Hall. It's a journey through time, a treasure trove of art and artifacts, and a testament to the enduring power of community. And don't forget to grab a copy of Alistair's book, York Local Knowledge. Must do top 10s and the vouchers to get them for less, for insider tips and discounts.
It's a must-have. You can find it on iBooks and Google Books.
right.
And for a truly unforgettable stay in York, check out the charming holiday homes at www.houseofyork.org.
You won't regret it.
You won't. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world around us.